And right now, we are 2 minutes away from the end of the trading day. Romaine Bostick alongside Alix Steel. We're counting you down to the closing bell. And here to help take us beyond the bell, it's a global simulcast. We're joined right now by Scarlet Fu in the TV studio. There's Alix Steel. There's Carol Massar in the radio booth. And I believe, finally, Tim Stenovec is back from his long vacation. So we got the whole gang back together. And you come back on a day where we got record highs across the board here.
Yeah, go figure, right? Yeah. Everything is awesome, as we like to say. We're seeing some buying. It looks like a little bit into the close here. I keep looking at the semiconductor space, guys. Up 1.7% yesterday, up another 2.9% today. So it continues. I think we're actually up about 4 days, I think, here in a row, 3 or 4 days in a row. So the momentum certainly in that space continues outperforming even the broader market, it looks like.
Even though we're seeing records likely at the close for the S&P 500 and the NASDAQ, we just spoke to Luca Paolini over at Pick Day, Scarlett, and he said in the short term, he sees a rotation to Europe and Japan as being a good value for investors. In the long term, though, the U.S. is still the place to be.
Yeah, but maybe valuation-wise, it doesn't look as good compared to those other markets. Notably, volume was definitely above average at the start of the trading day, but by midday, that really tapered off. And now we're looking like we're going to close down about 6% from the 20-day average.
I mean, I guess my question also is the financial conditions being so loose, right? Are they loose enough for the Fed to have to rethink things or not? And I know that they're looking at the labor market and saying the labor market's telling us that we're tight enough. But then Kashkari, I feel like, opens a door crack to talk about if financial conditions are actually tight enough. And then you look at the meme stocks. That, to me, doesn't say tight financial conditions, guys.
Yeah, that's definitely going to be something that the Fed will have to debate. I agree. I'm not quite sure where this tightness is being viewed right now. But at least for today, definitely things are loose and everyone seems to be enjoying it. The clapping, the confetti, and the bells. The Dow Jones Industrial Average closing out the day up by more than 350 points, back above that 39.9 level, up about 0.9% here on the day, and that is a record high. The S&P with a fresh record high at 53.08, up 61 points or more than 1% on the day. The NASDAQ composite also up, extending to a fresh record high, up 231 points or 1.4%. The NASDAQ composite, we should point out, which was lagging, the NASDAQ 100, which was lagging the composite, also up 1.5% to a fresh record high. And there's your Russell 2000, not a record high, but still a pretty decent day, up 1.1%.
Pull out your 5,300 hats, if you will.
I got it.
Good to know. Good to know. Hey, S&P 500, folks, most names in the index higher today, 358 gaining ground today. Scarlett, 143 to the downside, 2 unchanged.
And it's a pretty simple story when you look at the sector performances. A lot of green there. Every single sector is not down. I point that out because consumer discretionary is unchanged, as is consumer staples. But tech is leading the way, up by 2.3% as a group.
All right, so let's get to some of the individual gainers. This has the S&P NASDAQ 100 close at their first record highs since March. Super Microcomputer, number one gainer in the S&P 500, just finishing the day off its highs of the day. Still a gain of about 15.7% here, rallying on some heavy volume. I couldn't find really any significant catalyst or specific catalyst. I did see some buying of shares popping up on some of the 13F filings, which I know we're all keeping a watch on, but nonetheless, an outperformer in today's session. Let's go to BioCryst Pharmaceuticals, ticker is BCRX. This too was an outperformer. It is a small cap, $1.3 billion market cap biotech, rallying on higher than average volume after at least 5 insiders, including the CEO, issued SEC filings saying that they bought more than $800,000 worth of the stock. This stock gaining almost 19% in today's session. I should point out some short covering had to be going on because it's about 17% of the float being shorted. So some of that going on. Petco, another one. WOOF is the ticker, and this one finishing just off its highs of the day, almost a 28% gain, jumping the most in more than 3 years. Again, heavy volume in this name. Positive market reaction to the company's appointment of Glenn Murphy as executive chair to lead the search for a new CEO. You know that there's been some changes here. The last CEO stepping down, I think that was in March. Ron Coughlin stepping down following several quarters of underperformance. Stock's down about 23% year to date. Again, short covering probably happening. Almost 40% of the float is shorted, so some of that going on, but nonetheless an outperformer today.
Before you move on to the decliner, I was just looking. There was 71 52-week highs in the S&P today, and quite a few of those were record highs as well.
Significant.
But, and it was pretty broad-based, too, because remember, every time we get these rallies, it's always just basically basically like the Mag 7 and a couple other stocks, but it's banks, it's semiconductors, it's material stocks. It's basically everything right now in the pool.
So tight financial conditions, question mark?
Exactly. Yes, good point.
Hey, I want to go to some of the decliners that I've had my eye
Where have
on
you been,
today.
Tim, by the way?
Sorry?
Where have you been?
Oh, I've been doing some cycling in Colorado.
Okay.
I leave for 2 days and meme stocks go nuts. Is that what happens?
And then you come
Like
back. And then you come back, and then they don't.
2021 all over again. It's kind of wild here. Before we get to the meme stocks, I do want to talk about Tesla. It did finish down 2% roughly today. A couple pieces of news that I'm keeping my eye on. The company must face a proposed class action lawsuit that alleges it misled customers about its car's self-driving car capabilities. It's a setback for Tesla, just as Elon Musk has really staked the company's future on autonomy. We know that big unveil's coming in August. And then also NIO, the Chinese competitor to Tesla, is launching a more affordable brand in China that really takes aim at Tesla. Shares finishing down by 2% today. And now on to those meme stocks, because it seems like Keith Gill, aka Roaring Kitty, was pretty busy over the weekend with some social media posts that set off some buying, at least with AMC and GameStop. Those two companies were among the top 10 bought by retail investors on Tuesday, $51 million and $16 million daily inflows, according to data from Vanda. Today, we saw some selling, down 20% for AMC. The company did take advantage of that equity rally that we've seen in recent days through a private deal to reduce its debt. No fundamental news for GameStop, though, ticker GME, finishing down 19% today. Those shares have tripled in the last 2 weeks, but unlike AMC, it hasn't sold any stock. Like I said, it's meme stocks all over again.
Yeah, but you just gotta love AMC, CFO. Like, they got the job done. They're like, all right, let's do this. Like, here's our playbook. Taking a look at the bond market here, it was actually kind of exciting. Buying across the curve, you got a lot of buying in the 3 and the 5, so basically the belly. You have all the yields kind of really down below their 50-day moving average and either below or kissing their 200-day moving average. So some technical damage done on that level, Romaine.
All right, Cisco earnings crossing the wire right now. Shares higher in after hours trading. The company looks like they have a beat on several key metrics here. Let's just walk you through the numbers here. For the most recent quarter, the company is saying revenue came in at about $12.7 billion. That's slightly higher than estimates. We should also point out that the adjusted EPS number also hitting targets as well. But the forecast appears to be why we're seeing the shares higher. For the full year, the company says revenue will be $53.6 to $53.8 billion. That's higher than what than the guidance it had given before. And the high end of that range is basically on the nose with what the street was looking for at around 53. Adjusted EPS, the full year forecast, guys, 369 to 371. That's kind of slightly tweaked to what they had before, which is 368 to 374. But the street was looking for 364. So again, the bottom end of this range would be higher than the average of analyst estimates. So a beat in the most recent quarter and guidance for the full year above estimates.
Yeah, stock, off about 2% year to date, but we are seeing a pop of about 4.5% in the aftermarket. Some commentary and context coming off of this release. Former Splunk CEO Gary Steele named president of go-to-market at Cisco effective immediately. Cisco Chief Customer and Partner Officer Jeff Sheretz will depart after a 24-year career at the company. And they also noted that the acquisition of Splunk had a negative impact of 1 cent to third quarter adjusted EPS. So getting a little bit more color in terms of the business there.
Yeah, and this was, of course, the first earnings report since Cisco closed the purchase of Splunk, which was really aimed at broadening out Cisco into a provider of networking services, not just a maker of networking gear. I'm also looking at the fourth quarter, that is this current quarter, fiscal fourth quarter adjusted gross margin. It sees it at 66.5% to 67.5%. Analysts were looking for 67.4%. So at the high end, it certainly covers the consensus estimate, but at the low end, it would be below what analysts are looking for.
In comments ahead of that call, CEO Chuck Robbins touting the company's ability to bring together networking, security, observability, and data, which allows Cisco to offer customers unrivaled digital resilience for the AI era. I mean, this is a company that's been through many different generations of Silicon Valley, and the latest among them, of course, is the AI generation.
Yeah, certainly something that they've got in terms of a rethink of how their strategy is. All right, guys, continuing to see, though, that name higher in the aftermarket. Just a quick check up, about 4.4%. All right, that's a wrap. Across platform, radio, TV, YouTube, Bloomberg Originals, Beyond the Bell is what we call it. We will see you again, same time, same place tomorrow.